To the Ralph Bivins project. We're here today to, well, we want to talk about a really old Sears store in Houston, Texas. 80-year-old Sears store. Does that sound exciting? Well, it kind of is. It's Art Deco, but that's not the main thing. It's also owned by Rice Management, which manages the Rice University endowment, $6 billion endowment. And we're really lucky today to have Brian LeVasseur here. He has been in charge of transforming this beautiful Sears store into something that people are really talking about a lot. It's coming on the market into the play. You've got to go see it. It's been redone, and it's a cornerstone for something that's going to be pretty important. So, Ryan, welcome. Well,
Thank you, Ralph. It's good to see you. Thank you for making time today. Today, a day where we have a all too frequent occurrence of a major storm coming through the city. So thank you for
that's
making
right.
the time.
We had a Cat 1 last night. A lot of
Yes,
people still without power, but we're forging ahead. And
we are.
and anyway, tell us the Ion.
Yes.
ION. Tell us what the Ion is and what it's going to be.
Sure. Well, first of all, just thank you, Ralph, for having me, and thanks for keeping us in the real estate world here in Houston and in Texas in touch with what's going on in the COVID era. It's a little bit hard to get out and talk to friends, but through you, there's still some sharing of information, and so thank you for everything you're doing. Thanks for the opportunity to
I
share
love it.
the story of the Ion and the Ion District and Rice's commitment to Houston. To answer your question, what is the Ion? The Ion, in simplest terms, is a catalyst, and I think about it in multiple ways in its catalytic nature. First of all, in real estate terms, the university, Rice University, owns 16 acres of land there in Midtown. It is an area that is prime for development, but the natural occurrence of development may be a few years away for that land to be developed. It may the path coming from the CBD and then up from the MedScier Museum District still maybe a few years away. So if Rice were wanting to make an investment in that area of creating some development, it needed a catalyst, and the Ion building is that catalyst to start future investment in the area. It's also a catalyst for the broader regional economy. When you think about the history of other American cities and their reliance on maybe too few industries, and what those cities went through, Houston could have that path forward, but it doesn't have to. And so Rice and President Lebron, in his leadership of the university, really stepped up and said, we can do something different. We can take a place-based approach to create some real estate that will retain talent, attract talent, create a new place for people to work and live, for people to come together, and for people to share ideas. And so that is Rice's commitment to this district, in a hope to catalyze new businesses.
Well, it's really Rice University, beautiful campus on Main Street in Houston. Where I believe Bob Hope said this is one of the most beautiful views that he's been, and he's been everywhere. It's oak lined. It's a beautiful campus, and so you stepped outside that, and Rice stepped outside the hedges, so to speak, as one person put it, and you're going out into the city, and this Midtown is, as like you said, it's a work in progress. That's a big step to step out there, and because what you have done has been a little, you've done some great things, made some great investments, but this is a big step that's trying to influence the city and future growth.
It is a big step. It's a substantial step for the university. It's especially a university that, for its was a 109-year existence. Maybe I'm off with my math there, but called 100-year, century of existence, has, as you said, stayed inside the hedges. Right, the university has been rather insular and internally focused, but this is an opportunity for Rice to lead. It's also coming on the heels of Amazon, right? Amazon's HQ2 search, which said to Houston, you're not like the others. Houston, you're not even in our top 20. And Houston said, well, what's wrong? What's wrong with us? And folks looked back at the city and said, what are our challenges? What can we do? And President Lebron, the board of Rice, really did step up and said, we can do something different. We can create a place where people want to come together, where people are not segregated through tunnels or other systems, where people get out of their cars and walk around, where the ground plane is democratized and where people can come together. And so that is a major investment by the university. But look, Rice isn't going anywhere. Rice is here in Houston and will be forever. And so long as it is, it's going to do its part to make sure that Houston maintains itself as a world-class city.
And you've got, I believe, 16 blocks around the former Sears store, which closed a couple of years ago. And Sears is like 266,000, I think, square feet.
That's
pretty
right.
Big building. And I believe it's 4 levels if you count the basement. I may have my math off there, but something like that. Tell us about that building, what's been done there.
Sure. So the university has 16 acres of land spread over about 12 city blocks. And then you're spot on. 266,000 square feet of leasable space in that Ion, spread over 6 floors. So the original building was the lower level and 3 stories of structure above grade. We have added 2 floors above that. Physically, the building is unlike anything else in the commercial market, commercial office market here in Houston. The floor plates are 58,000 square feet each. The ceiling heights are 14 feet. The structure is built like any other. It's rather robust to an extreme level of robustness in what they've built there and what we found through demolition of some of the walls. But it's irreplaceable, right? It's not a building that any sane developer would go and build anew because it's just too expensive. But to preserve it is a kind of a novel approach. And so we have a building that has these large floor plates, that has the industrial character that the market tends to be attracted to these days. It has a story to it. There are not a plethora of opportunities here in Houston to preserve something that is old, and certainly not something that has touched so many lives in Houston. And it's interesting to me to work on this project and see people have that emotional connection to a building, right? It's just a dumb box in many senses, but and beyond that, it's just a dumb store, right? It's just a Sears. But so many people talk about, when I went with my grandparents to get shoes in August for the school year, or when my spouse and I went there to buy our first appliances. That's meaningful. And to save the structure actually provides that emotional connection to people that is somewhat of a rare opportunity anywhere, especially here in Houston. So it is a preservation of a historical building, but the history isn't in the grand things that happen there. It's in the small incidences of people's lives. And so we're really proud of that. And so what is it now? It's an office building. It is an office building with a range of amenities unlike any other. There's, of course, there's the 4 restaurants that we have in the building that we can talk more about. There's a maker lab and prototyping lab. There's a studio specifically built for investors to come have their home base as they receive pitches from people with new ideas and new businesses. There's the forum stairs, which can seat 250 people for public events. And then there is just, of course, an abundance of differentiated office product that is frankly leasing quite well, but all things considered here in this COVID era.
And I think you recently signed, Common Desk, kind of a co-working thing, most people would call it. And for 58,000 feet, that's large.
Yeah, that's I believe that's their largest operation in their portfolio. They have 23 locations, mostly here in Texas. They have a handful here in Houston. We did a national search for a co-working operator and landed on them. They have the right personality. Their leadership is young and engaged. We joke that they're very much on brand, right, for this building, but they're also serious business people. They are the deal structure that we've set up with them. It's a joint venture. So as that space does well, Bryce does well, and Common Desk does well. And they're doing a great job. People are excited to be in that space. They've opened up. People are working in there. One of the testaments to the success is we have seen people who are not yet tenants come in and give tours. People that aren't even tenants of Common Desk yet are in that space giving tours to their friends saying, yeah, we're taking that office and we're coming in. We're probably going to sign this lease. And look at this light well. Look at this amazing space. So that's pretty cool when people aren't even yet bought in are talking about the great things that are happening there.
That is tremendous. But you are bringing 266,000 square feet to the market. And a lot of that's office space, and we're doing it, no secret. The Houston office market is not in great shape right now. There's plenty of vacancy. And so some people would say, oh boy, here comes some more inventory that has to be leased up. How are we ever going to get our vacancy rates back down? Tell me what your thinking is in terms of entering the market this time in our history, in our vacancy. It's a big vacancy right now.
What is it? 24%, 28% when you roll in secondhand space. Yeah, that's a scary number, right? That's a number that could scare away outside capital. But then when you talk to folks in the office market, and I don't think it's just people drinking their own Kool-Aid, there is a bifurcation of the market, right? There is the new quality product that is focused on attracting and retaining talent. And then there's, well, frankly, everything else. And the everything else was built 30 to 40 years ago. It's rather uniform in its size and its materiality and its lease spans and ceiling heights and its parking. And it's uniform in the way people experience the space. We are creating something that's different. It's very much a different experience to work in the Ion, and the Ion's not alone in that. There are other great new developments being built in Houston. But if you just think about cars and think about everyone owns a car, but at some point, not everyone wants to be driving a 30-year-old car, right? And so you could say, well, everyone has a car. We don't need new cars. Yet there's always a market for a new car. There's always going to be a market for new quality space, especially when the existing product doesn't meet the needs of the current economy. When companies are saying it's not about where the decision maker wants to be, it's where the talent wants to be, that new product can attract those tenants. And so that is really our business plan: attract the talent that wants to be in the Ion, the talent that wants to share ideas, advance their ideas, and share ideas across company lines. To share ideas with a large corporation and a small startup is really the focus of the Ion. We have businesses at all levels of the life cycle taking space in there. And so we think we're okay. We think we're going to be okay despite these scary vacancy numbers that we do see here in Houston.
What you've got, what'd you say, 16 blocks or 12 blocks? Anyway, you've got land around this block. Okay. What's next? What's the next step? What's the next building that's happens now?
Sure, great question. We spent the COVID era de-risking this project. So we are signing a community benefits agreement with the mayor of the city of Houston, something I think is largely unprecedented and will be, I believe, very well received by the community at large. We have the Midtown Redevelopment Authority Board has just approved a substantial tax reimbursement program, which has no impact to the city's bottom line, right? This is all tax reimbursements on incremental value created by Rice and its partners. And we've also succeeded in the Ion, in the leasing up of the Ion and proving out that thesis. So what is next, to answer your question, is to go out and court partners or a partner for 2 to 3 more buildings, one on the same city block of the Ion and 2 across the street. We are blessed with city blocks that are about double the size of your normal Houston city block. We have 3 of those. And so we're going to be developing with a future partner on the Ion block and on the adjacent block. We'll be creating more high quality public space like we have in the Ion Plaza right at the Ion. We'll be developing a district garage with 1,500 parking spaces, really moving the cars to the periphery, getting people out of their cars and on foot. So what's next for us is to run a process to find a partner that believes in the things that we believe in. Do they believe in a quality public realm? Do they believe in creating a differentiated product? Do they believe in mixed use development, that 1 + 1 = more than 2? And there are great developers here in the city that we know share those values, and so we're going to be talking to them to look to invest in and build the next round of buildings.
Anything close on that?
We are going out to market probably in the next month. So we're going to have some deep, I call them soul searching conversations, but really make sure we find the right partner. This will be a marriage with partner for a long term. And so we're going to take our time and find the right folks and develop the right product. We at Rice have the benefit of thinking multi-generationally. And we can use that to catalyze investment and to also, help de-risk the opportunity for other investors and developers.
Weren't you only an executive with Heinz? And isn't that true?
No, the answer is no. I was never an executive at Heinz. I was one of the little guys. But yes, I did work at Heinz. I worked at Heinz in the New York.
Members, yeah, I bet.
No. Heinz has world-class executives. And I was not one of them. I worked at Heinz in the New York office for 5 years before coming to Houston, focused on development, mostly focused on commercial development in Manhattan.
They would seem like a pretty good phase 2 of the Ion development.
Heinz has a global reputation. They not just a global reputation, but a stellar reputation, right? And that reputation is something that has been built up for many decades based on the integrity of the Heinz family. Jerry Heinz, Jeff Heinz, and now Laura and Adam. They are wonderful partners of ours currently because they are the development manager of the Ion. We hired them in a fee position to build the Ion. And yes, they are very much someone who could be a future partner of ours, but this is not something that's wired for Heinz at all. We want to make sure that we run a competitive process, and there are many others that we believe share the values that we have and can think long-term about value creation. But yes, Heinz, of course, if we weren't talking to Heinz, people would be questioning our beliefs and what we're trying to do.
They were the fee developer for the transformation of the Sears building.
That's exactly
great. They basically, I guess, cut big holes in the floor plates to make it the atrium down and air this building down to bring light all the way down to the basement level and everything. It's worth a tour. What'd you call the steps where the seating kind of amphitheater down there?
We call them the forum stairs.
Yeah, that's a great space. That's a great space.
It is. People are excited to come in and see it. And a lot of credit, of course, Heinz did a wonderful job. A lot of credit also should be given to shop architects, to Gensler, to Jamie Carpenter, who all worked together, and Gilbane, who built it, who all worked together to solve that problem of when you have a 58,000 square foot floor plate, the middle of it is dark, and that is not quality space. So what do? You remove it. You remove that space, you remove the challenge, you fill it with light, and then the building has really great, even natural light in all the workspaces. It's something that I think the market is responding really well to.
Of course, chopping a hole in that floor, when you're talking about the building was built with some major specs, concrete, it could have withstood a bomb. It's really well built. I understand that must be a big hassle for Gilbane to.
It really was. A little extra work
for that magnitude was a big deal. Oh, I meant to ask, what about the sign? I know somebody painted it black. The Sears sign that's probably 10 feet long or 12 feet long, but it was sitting in the parking lot. It was painted black. What are y'all going to do with the Sears sign?
Great question. I will answer your question. It used to be the number one question we got before we started redeveloping the building. Now that we have a beautiful building that'll be a catalyst for an entire district, people ask a little bit less about the sign and more about the building and the future. Yes, the sign was painted black by Sears. They strip all their brand marks. They took all their signs with them. That one was a little too big for them to pack up in their trunk and take along. So we did remove it from the building, put it in the lot across the street. it blew over. It blew over in another major storm. It's still intact, but we did slice it up into pieces. We have it in storage, and look, if anyone has any creative ideas, we're open. We're very open to hearing what people think about what could
Put it
happen.
there in the plaza, put it there in the middle of the plaza where the people, kind of like an artifact in the park. That would be fun.
All great ideas are welcome. No bad ideas in brainstorming, we like to say.
Yes, I've been around that site a lot, and I guess I don't want to drift too much into the negative, but you drive down Main Street, and of course, if you aren't from Houston, you may not realize that our metro train was built at grade on top of the street, so they displace cars, everything. It's in retrospect, I think they should have put it up and monorailed it or something above street level, but they didn't. And I would say that of all the places, and there's been accidents. The lady that was a professor at Rice got hit there by the campus. It's a fatal accident. But anyway, but right there where the Ion is, the train goes down Main and it kind of diagonals across and goes out Bannon, and it's the most awkward place in the whole rail system. I don't know why they did it like that. But can you make them, redo that? It wasn't done well. I'm not, hey, it's 7.5 miles, but it wasn't done well, and it's the most awkward place. And even for me, as driven around here all my life, going down there and you come up to that intersection at Wheeler, and you, well, what's the train going to do now? Now, where did I drive? Did I have to turn right here or go? It's totally confusing. Can you do something to make Metro fix that?
We had a meeting. Metro and some other area stakeholders came together to talk about that site in particular, and I was thrilled to hear Metro's leadership speak about that site as an opportunity. The word opportunity came up so many times in that meeting. It is, of course, an opportunity to perhaps realign the light rail, as you say, to make a more welcoming environment for pedestrians, an easier place for automobile flow, and a more logical place for the train. Add into that the future opportunity for bus rapid transit along Wheeler and Richmond, right? You get a real hub of transit activity. The opportunity, of course, rests in the sky, that there can be some mixed use development on that acreage that Metro holds, which is north of 6-7 acres, to create some real value. And Metro can think about that as creating the value in the sky to fund the infrastructure needs at grade. So can you ask the question, can you make Metro do? No, Rice cannot make Metro do anything. But gosh, we very much look forward to working with Metro and South Main Alliance and South Main Baptist Church and so many other area stakeholders that want to see an improvement there. And I think the best thing that we can do at Rice is to set a strong precedent across the street, to show that mixed use development can happen here, to show that people want and value a pedestrian realm. If we do that well, the opportunities just to the south where Metro owns land become more apparent. So that's really what we can do. We can set a strong precedent and work with the other stakeholders to improve that area. But again, just thrilled to hear Metro and Tom speak about that site and its opportunity. It really is an incredible opportunity to do something of value there.
Could they raise the rail above grade and have development coming in? The train coming into the development. You've been to Miami. You've seen what they
sure
there. I can't remember the name of the center, but it's a fantastic center that's multi-level, and the train comes in on the third floor of the project. It's pretty well done. Could something like that be done? A multi-level development with rail getting off the ground and coming in on upper levels of a new construction?
Yes, right. Multi that site should be thought of in not just horizontal terms, but also in vertical terms. That could mean putting transportation at different levels. Look, Houston is a newer city. It's a growing city. If you look to cities that were started, really grew in the 19th century, they did that, right? They put the rail below grade. New York did that. Philly, Chicago, actually, Chicago put it largely above grade. There are opportunities to think that way, but that's a huge undertaking. But sure, thinking vertically is definitely an approach specifically for that site. When you think about the complexity of the rail, the at-grade road conditions, and then the highway opportunities along there.
Right. There, 59, of course, I guess that's, or 69 or whatever they may call it now, but a big freeway just to the south of your project. And it's on the Texas Department of Transportation improvement program, which would take it, at least the drafts I've seen, take it below grade, take the freeway below grade, build a deck park on top, similar to Clyde Warren and Dallas, with a park on top of the freeway. That would seem to be a pretty good fit to me if I was to realign that freeway right south. Anybody discuss that?
Sure. Yeah. Of course, there are lots of talks about those opportunities, and this is not unique to that location, not unique to Houston, right? Many American cities are struggling with how do we fix things that we built in the 50s. We built the national highway system in the 1950s. And we didn't think about placemaking at that time. We thought about getting people out of the cities into the suburbs or about national defense strategies. We are now thinking about, well, gosh, we as a society are really reinvesting in our cities, yet there are these major physical impediments that allow us to really execute the full strategy of the reinvestment into our cities. And yes, trenching or elevating or removing or parking over the highway systems in all American cities are great investments. I think Boston has proved that with a big dig. Yeah, that was a huge pain in the butt for that city for a decade or more, but I think they would all say, thank God we did it, right? That park that they have there along the north end of Boston is fantastic, and I'm sure it's catalyzed probably billions of dollars of investment along it.
Oh, yeah. Things like that attract new construction and new taxable base for the governments, et cetera. But yeah, that would be great. Those would be two major improvements right there. You could hit a golf ball from on top of the Ion and hit there. Like, this is where we need to fix the rail, and let's build it up, go vertical, and get some multi-level something in there, retail or office or extension of the Ion. And then right behind that, we'll build, it'll converge with our reworked freeway. That would be something that would make the Ion the center of the universe. Man. It would be something. That would be those are two ambitious things to back on, but it could really be a true game changer for everybody.
It really could, and to the point of the Ion being the center of the universe. First of all, that's a very generous term to state about Rice's investment. Though President Lebron, when he talks about the Ion and the land holdings, he often says if he picked up the Ion and plunked it down somewhere in Houston, well, he'd just put it right back to where it was, right? Halfway in between the two largest employment nodes, two of the top 10 employment nodes within the entire country, with Texas Medical Center and Houston CBD, tied into the freeway network, on the light rail, close to U of H, TSU, Rice University, surrounded by museums, in a growing and diversifying neighborhood. It's an incredible opportunity that Rice has right there.
And the challenge. I mean, the challenge of the vagrants around there, that the gathering point for them, and what a social problem, and I don't know what what can you do there with the issue of vagrants that having a hard time right there on the sidewalk?
Yeah. We can do a few things. One is we need to shift our mentality, right? I feel immensely lucky. I was born on third base, right? I know that every day. Those of us who have the advantage of being on a Zoom call, right? Those of us who have the advantage of being employed, who have stability of a family, we need to recognize that, look, we're just one car accident away or one slip and fall away from being in a different position, right? And that is true of our fellow Houstonians who are there, unfortunately living under a highway, living in a tent. Couple that with perhaps physical or mental health challenges. We're all in this together. So what can Rice do? Rice can't solve that. Rice can work with partners that know how to address these challenges that these individuals have. And I think the challenges that exist there are as broad as the population is, right? Each person is different, and each person comes with a different challenge. So Rice, as part of its community benefits agreement that we are signing with the mayor, will be funding service providers that are working on the street to help those individuals, to help them find secure and safe housing, to help them find employment opportunities, to help them find the health resources that they need. Rice, and certainly Rice Management Company, can't solve those problems, but we can work with those who know how to address them. So that is what we're doing. We want to find the partners, and we are finding the partners that know how to help those people. They are no different than us. They just had something happen in their lives that put them in that situation.
And I guess Common Desk is open. Tell me about the openings. Is it
Sure.
The restaurants open yet?
We have 4 restaurants in the building. They'll be opening over the coming months, probably 1 or 2 before the Christmas season, and 2 or 3 after Christmas. We're really excited about the restaurants because they represent truly Rice's commitment to Houston, right? They're all Houston based. A few of them are minority owned. We have the Cordua family opening Lim Bar, right? We're really excited about what they're doing, David and Michael. We have Common Bond producing great coffee and croissants that are bigger than our heads. So we're excited about that space. And then Chef Don Burrell and Chris Williams doing late August. That's fantastic. We just signed a lease. It's not super duper public, but we'll go out with this with Baylison Brewery. They'll be having a different name, but Baylison Brewery and Bissonnette will be opening a location in the Ion. And then across the street, we're working with the founder of Stuffed Chicken Wings, which is Jared, a food truck in the 3rd Ward. This will be his first brick and mortar location. We joke that, that's really innovative, but it actually is innovative when you think about it. He has a proprietary machine that pulls open a chicken wing and shoves it with crab meat or chicken boudin or rice or mac and cheese. And moreover, he and the other restaurateurs are representative of small businesses. And so supporting the growth opportunities of small businesses, especially Houston small businesses, is part of what we're trying to do with the Ion District. And we think we're doing that in a demonstrative way with the food and beverage offerings in the Ion. So they'll all be opening, saddling 21 into 22. Microsoft will be opening its space soon. Chevron space is open to its employees. Common Desk is open. We have LOIs or lease negotiations for another about 40,000 square feet, perhaps more, that will be rolling in. So tenant spaces are opening as we're talking. The celebratory opening of the Ion, right? The big ribbon cutting, the big week-long celebration of Rice's commitment to Houston, of Rice being a part of the community. That is a little bit on hold right now. We want to do something that is safe and appropriate and representative of that commitment. And we just got to wait and see. To do it when it's appropriate and safe for folks to really come together. Fantastic. In the meantime, anybody who wants to come see the Ion, come on out. It's a really special space.
Ryan LeVasseur with the Ion District. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us about this exciting project, and we can hardly wait to see what's next.
Thank you, Ralph, and thank you to your work at Realty News Report. Like I said, it's keeping us in the real estate community connected. So thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks for the opportunity to tell the story about Rice's commitment to Houston. It's been a real treat. Thanks, Ralph.
All right, take care.
Take care.